opium den. No, I wouldn't have to feel. I could ponder why, to the stars up in the sky, and try to live outside all those gorgeous lies. If I could, I would take a moment to breathe. If I could, I would fly a golden sunflower seed. Complex world. Hey you guys, welcome to Gaia Rising Now. Today is an amazingly beautiful day. We're just kind of kicking around the yard, and Bill wanted to say hi to everybody. This is Buddha Bill. Yeah. Bill.
Keats is coming up.
And there's Keats behind me. Hi, Keats. Are you shy? Anyway, on today's show, we finally have Missy Hill from Blog Talk's Galactic Earth Fusion Radio. And Missy is a UFO and paranormal researcher. She also leads tours with her third-generation Google night vision glasses out in North Carolina, where she lives. And there's some amazing videos on YouTube that I will put in the ticker for you, that you can check out on her YouTube channel. But UFO type of videos. But anyway, Missy and I had some really interesting experiences doing this interview. Paranormal experiences, I think, happen to both of us all the time. And I've also encountered during the shooting of some of these, or the orchestration of production of some of these clips, that we have very strange anomalies occurring all the time. And Missy's interview proved to be just one more. And you'll see towards the end of the clip, she just starts to go black and disappear. So we didn't get a chance to do a formal outro on our clip and say goodbye to her properly, which is probably an okay thing, because Missy is going to be back for a part 2. We've got some really interesting specific things to talk about regarding satanic overtones related to the Catholic Church and originating in Ireland.
The snake there.
Yeah, there's a snake, and St. Patrick's Day is coming up, so that's fitting in St. Patty, old St. Patty ridding Ireland of the snakes. So anyway, I just wanted to say hi. I don't normally like to be in the show more than I need to be, because I'd like to keep it art and content saturated. But I did want to point out that I apologize for not having a formal ending, and we were experiencing some really strange anomalies. So enjoy the show regardless, and enjoy Missy. She's fabulous, and all the other great clips that we have for you today. And Jackie's down here. Jackie, you want to say goodbye? Say hi, say goodbye. Jackie! Jackson, hi. Hi. Uh-oh. All right, thank you. See you soon.
What's back in here, I wonder where it goes. I wonder. What's back in here, I wonder where it goes. Oh man, this is scary now. It's very dark. Hello? Oh. 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 What's back in here, I wonder where it goes. I wonder.
Where do we find meaning? Where do we find hope? Meaning is within each of us. We have to assign our meanings to our lives. It can't come from the outside. There's no purpose beyond what we give our lives. And if you can't find a reason for being, a purpose for your own life, then I don't think you need to look to a book or to a 12-step plan. I think you need to look inside. And that's what I tell people when they ask me where I should go. Where should I go? The second question, the one I forgot about a long time ago. As I got to rambling along. You probably did too. What can I do? You can just be. Where can I go? You can go inside. You can go into your heart. You can figure out what it means to be a human being. You can figure out what it means to be a human at this most amazing time in history. A time when the entire system is crumbling. Industrial civilization is going away in the not too distant future. And so is our species. So ponder that. If that doesn't give you enough to think about, then you probably should go back to your smartphone and text your friends. What does it mean? What does it mean to be a human? What rises up in you when you realize that the world of the future is not going to be like the world of the past? That the world that we all grew up in is going away. There will be some profound changes in the not very distant future, and they will affect each of us. What does that mean? What does that cause to well up in you in terms of your humanity? What does it mean to be a human to you? How do you spend your time if you know your days are short? And by the way, if you live to be 120, your days are short. That's nothing. It's at the end of your life, even if you live to be 100 or 120 or 150, you're going to remember a few moments. You're going to remember 3 minutes in a row of what I said here this afternoon. You're going to remember 3 minutes in a row of your whole life. You're going to remember those moments, and hopefully they're moments of joy and happiness and satisfaction that you experience. So let's try to create those. In recognizing that there's more than one way to live in the world, that there are in fact 7.1 billion and 7.1 billion and counting numbers of ways to live in the world. We need to find our own way. And we need to find a way that resonates with who we are and where we are in history.
Welcome, Missy Hill. Oh, who is that, Missy?
This is my beloved Soda making an appearance. And Soda's been on YouTube videos before.
Oh, he's famous, is he?
Yes,
she.
She's
Oh,
famous,
I'm sorry. Yes. I have a tiger like that, and it's a he, so I just project. I projected.
Well, and also the orange tabby as a females are actually quite rare, so that's another thing. Yeah.
Yes, it is. I always made the assumption, or I always thought that they were just all male, but she proves us wrong. But that makes sense. They're rare. So it's good to see you. I like your little cat room there.
Thank you. Good to see you also. And I think you heard our rooster crowing in the background.
I did. That was hilarious. I love him. Bye, Soda. So, Missy, we were talking and kind of sensing where we should take the conversation. And Missy was sharing a lot of the feelings that she was having over the last 24, 36, 48 hours. And, you know, we always like to compare notes because we're always, all of us, picking up signals and signs. And, you know, it's very validating. And we also can put the puzzle pieces together when we connect with each other. So what were you telling me? How are you feeling? What's going on?
Well, actually, in today, what was coming up as I was feeling as I was getting ready to do the exercise bike, you know, planning this day, I was feeling in the collective field this thing about there is a division within the soul body. You know, it's something about bringing the masculine and feminine together, action with being still. And I was feeling like this collective inertia and entropy. And yet at the same time, I was also feeling another lighter note of something wanted to spring forth and be birthed, and how to bring these dark and light, yin and yang, masculine, feminine, heaviness, lightness, and all these things into the now moment of self as, you know, we're re-encrypting this physical body. A lot of the density we are feeling in the energetic field is the density in the physical body. And actually, the more light one accretes within their light body, the more light that accretes in the physical body, the dense and heavier the body can feel, especially because we're in a detox mode all the time, because planet Earth is loaded with toxicity. You know, we know what's been going on energetically for thousands of years in this last 26,000-year cycle, as well as the constant bombardment and assaults that are happening to humanity, which is just a reflection of the inner toxicity of the mental body, of the wounded emotional body, of patriarchal domination on the planet, the false king of tyranny, and all these things. You could call it a negative, alien, archontic invasion, all types of things that are not organic to who it is that we really are. And what we're finding now is we are choosing to become who it is we really are, and sometimes it is a painful process. But like a chrysalis within the butterfly, you don't try to prematurely help the process and take that outer skin of that chrysalis off, because it'll kill that butterfly. Yeah. We actually have to go through the pain. You know, we always heard years ago, working out, no pain, no gain, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's a different type of pain, where it's not a pain in the emotional body. There's an intense will coming forth where, for me personally, it's not my own personal pain, although I may feel pain within the physical body. There is something that's like a pushing, or say like being in a cheesecloth and being squeezed out, so that way this alchemy of what's happening, we become like a clear fluid liquid. We become fluid through this adversity and trial and different things that are coming on, if that makes any sense. And,
oh, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, there's so many pieces going on, and I'm actually paying attention less outside, as far as like connecting in with, say, the news or this or that. I mean, I get some for context, but I could just feel it with the fact that we had an ice storm. And I had an ice skating rink last week in my lawn. You know, remember the Disney Frozen character? Kind of like this whole thing of being frozen in time, where there's been a crystallization and the freezing, and especially on the East Coast. That's because the East Coast, on the grids, there's a lot more density. So with this freezing and this frozen in time feeling of this Elsa, which is almost like a spell that possibly the higher-ups have also done with geoengineering, but we're not necessarily going to go there. It's more about the miasm within the people and within the planet. And miasm is something that is passed on ancestrally. It's an ancestral miasm is when there is a karmic repercussion for action that manifests in the physical body as a disease pattern. Yeah. Well, we also have a disease pattern on planet Earth. So when we go around doing grid work, and we do grid work in our physical body, say by having acupuncture, working on the meridians and connecting the meridians to the light body, which it has to do with the axitonial alignment of the body. Well, on the earth, we have the ley lines within the grids of the earth, and those have to be cleared, because obviously somebody's been knowing to pollute these particular ley lines that hold the toxicity. And then when we add all the chemical toxicity, you know, and things like Fukushima and Gulf oil spills and all this kind of stuff, and spraying of chemtrails and DDT and fluoride, you know, Roundup Ready and all these things, that it's just it's loaded with toxicity. And like our skin, really working on hydrating and cleansing the skin now. The skin of the earth, you know, now what are they doing? They want to, you know, fracking, all these different things. There's no soil left. So, you know, these are just on the 3D levels we're talking about, but this has been downstepped in the dimensional realm, which dimension has to do with time. So if we look at, say, 12 dimensions, or we can go to 15 dimensions, but we'll work with the 12 because we hear about the 12-stranded DNA. What this is having to do with is in time, our future self has reincarnated into the past, which is now, even though there is no time, you know, that vertical alignment is no time, and also spiral time, which we hear about and subscribe to. What this has to do with more is connecting to the aspect of our avatar self in the future, our superhero.
Yay!
And bringing that aspect of self, of our soul family, of our monadic family, of our avatar family into the now moment to change now. Because we have a choice in going down the rabbit hole. Will we change now? And will there be the 100th monkey and all this stuff with the collective? And that's where we are.
Well, that makes perfect sense because, I mean, I must say every day to my husband, it's like, okay, somebody shifted the timeline again because I can tell it just shifted. Okay. You know, I mean, that's kind of one of the things that I pick up on, and it's been accelerating and accelerating. I mean, I noticed it ever so slightly over the last few years, but I swear to God, in the last month, it's been almost daily, you know? So I know people are doing their grid work, and I know the grid work is definitely working because there's so many groups that are aiding in this, and it is absolutely having an effect. And I think that that's what people want to know. You know, we get discouraged sometimes, you know, with all this information, and I think that people just want to know that, you know, things are changing, and absolutely they are. But as with anything, you know, the structure architecturally has to come down before the next thing can be built. And alchemically, you know, we got to pour the peroxide in the wounds, and that doesn't always feel good. So while we're morphing and transmuting into something, you know, lighter, we're having all of these additional elements, you know, to deal with. So I think it's very powerful what you're telling everybody and the things that you're sharing with those of us that are experiencing these things, you know. And you were snowed in. Well, I think the metaphor there is amazing.
Oh, yes. And I've been using a lot of infrared, which I will get into the healing properties of infrared. But right now what I want to focus on is that alchemy, this transmutation of forces. This is the blending of opposite. You know, we've heard it of turning base metal into gold. However, it's more of the golden egg light body, the Buddhic egg, if you will, the solar egg, and bringing the gold body in, okay? We've also heard it of as turning our blood into a gold liquid, that kind of thing. And it has nothing to do with taking monatomic gold. I would not necessarily recommend taking monatomic gold because, you know, I feel we do this naturally because we don't want to take more heavy metals into our body, although colloidal silver does have value for the immune system. You know, that's another thing. This is just a really important piece, getting that we are actually remaking the physical body at the cellular level, at the DNA level, the mitochondrial level, and we need to get more oxygen and hydration into the body to do this. I was telling you before, it was coming to me when I was doing hot yoga here in my house with my infrared, because I can't go to the hot yoga studio where I go because the heat is important for the detoxing. I was getting about how oxygen will oxidize metal and it will become rust. And if we are loaded with toxicity and metal, we don't want to be rusty. We will feel this as acidity in our joints and stiffness. And what we want to do is bring in the fluidity and the hydration and the light, because we are working on a crystalline silica template, which is connecting with the plasma body, which, here's a segue when you were talking to me about the UFO piece. Well, a place where we go called Brown Mountain in the Linville Gorge in North Carolina has plasma balls. And I can sort of, which are hydrogen-based type of technology, which are both, I feel they're organic and they're just different. You know, they take on different forms. They can take on the form of a UFO or an orb. I've seen them. There's a YouTube footage up there. If you Google Brown Mountain Lights, some of mine and some of a friend of mine and other people I know. Well, I have been studying these things for years, and I'm feeling now that there's something about merging that type of energetic with our physical body, because, you know, when people pass the body, sometimes they can be an orb. So there's something about this orb type of energetic and with our physical body about bringing this field in of this plasma light template to get rid of the density in the body. And some people call it like the hydroplasmic liquid light body.
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
Body.
Totally agree.
I want to give people different words to find out what words resonate.
Yeah.
As far as the architecture, the 12-stranded DNA, all those things, I would say wherever somebody is, though, the most important thing to do is for them to feel into their heart and start really working on their breath and oxygenating so they can feel again, because we got to get to the point where we can feel again, because we've been so desensitized to feeling anything because we've been traumatized.
Surely. Oh, absolutely. I think we are the epitome of a PTSD, culture, and beyond that, our whole species, because, just the trauma that's been inflicted from brainwashing to hybriding and beginning as a mutation on this planet and not being indigenous, so
exactly.
Yeah, and nobody knows this. The
I know, because
so sad. It's so sad.
Nobody knows.
I know. It's like oh my God, this amazing adaptation is happening. This amazing opportunity is here that we have worked for lifetime after lifetime for this moment, and it's like we're still trying to get people, and they've just targeted us to go even deeper into complete zombie land. And it's thank God for people like you and me and all the others out here that have fought and are working hard even against all odds, because and I'm not trying to elevate us. It's just that this is such vital information, and it's not just, it'll save your life. This is what's going to adapt the whole species. This is what's going to change the whole future of everything. It's not just your lifetime, it's your future lifetimes. It's everything.
It's the past, and it's like we have to work on ourselves, because we must put the oxygen mask on us before anybody else, because if we don't really start working on bringing everything into wholeness and integration and not being split out in our consciousness, because that just came up with the conversation today with a friend about, certain times our reactions, our behavior, if we're not totally in integrity with ourselves every moment, and not, we always have to be paying attention to everything that goes through our mind, through our heart. We need to be present with everything, because if we're not, say we're not present, not president, accidents can happen, to slow us down. And I was revisiting some of these things from my past about how I've been made to slow down when things were moving too fast, because I was asking today, well, why does it look like we're not moving forward? Because some of us have to actually now, we worked on the blueprints, we reclaimed the blueprints. I like to use this example. There's a movie called Tron with Jeff Bridges, if you ever saw the movie Tron, and how he wrote the original program, and he had to come back in and incarnate into the program because it got screwed up with viruses and malware and spyware and all this kind of crap. So that's what's happened on planet Earth, and the writers of the program, the original program, are actually back incarnated in on planet Earth. They got stuck here during the incarnational cycle and actually couldn't get out because of the different things that were put into place as far as density fields, you know, like it's almost like electromagnetic fields and static nets where there's things that keep you here. You get shocked if you try to get out of a certain system and you can't move beyond it. It's sort of like a glass ceiling. There's been many glass ceilings to work through, and we finally worked through enough of the glass ceilings to connect to the beings of ourselves. These are us. You know, I don't subscribe to channelings and things like this of beings necessarily outside of who it is that we are, which is our own soul family. It's not about calling in an ascended master, something like that. It's about connecting with the future aspect of our own God self that knows everything. Because we're part of the one, so we know all this anyway. We just have to remove all the blocks. Yeah. There's many. Many blocks.
No
that
kidding.
Keep us from
like a
knowing
labyrinth.
all things.
It's a labyrinth.
It's ongoing. The clearing is ongoing. Although, you know, now we're getting to a point where we can at least see through the glass darkly. I think that was in the Bible or something, Paul. See enough of the pinhole of light that we can connect in a way that we've not connected before, because enough of that architecture has returned that we can start building the house, retemplating the house of our body and the house of the earth mother, because her body, you know, has been like in the dark. That's the whole, you know, Sophia, you know, I don't really want to get too much into the mythology. Laura Eisenhower is the one to listen to for the mythology on what has happened, you know.
Yep.
No,
I think staying away from mythology, I think that you and I share that, in that I like to stay more with quantum physics. I mean, and the alchemistic view of things. I think it, for my mind and the way it works, it processes easier that way, and it makes me feel more comfortable sharing, because I don't want to influence somebody on how to view that. You know, if it's their time to come into that information, they'll have found it, you know. But yeah, Laura is awesome for that. And so much of what you said is just, it's so awesome. It's exactly what people need to hear. It's exactly what's going on. And being able to just recognize that these things are happening, and that water, I mean, it's our electrical system is being pushed, you know, every day. Yes. It's like being fried. So, you know, our moods are going to shift. And unless we stay on top of understanding, like, okay, I need water, you know, it's not so much like I'm going to go with the shift of the mood. I'm going to, oh yeah, I need water, or I need whatever you need. If you need a moment to decompress, just honor that, you know, create new boundaries for yourself. You know, I've heard you in our conversations, you know, I recognize that you've done that for yourself in the last, you know, few months, is created some new boundaries, which is, you know, why you're not doing your show, or, you know, something to that effect, just taking some time for yourself and setting up new protections and healing yourself. And that's really what people need to start to do, is to move away from the matrix, you know, and really conceptualize this as a virtual reality, you know, overcome the physical limitations, you know, with your mind and aligning your body. You know, water is the current. It's the current that, you know, allows the spark to travel. So if you can just hydrate, you know, you can project, you know, your ability to project with efficiency is going to be enabled, you know, more than anything else. But
so the physical body actually needs to be upgraded now, just like we upgrade the software of our computer. So we do this through the products that we use. Yes. And the foods that we buy and all these things. And even though we may not want to be in the system of voting and things like that, we vote every day by how we spend our currency, yes, our currents that goes to the sea,
yeah,
I know. What it is that we're buying. So it's about upgrading everything and not only the hydration, on the other side of the hydration is the sweating. That's why the infrared, that's why I started going to the hot yoga, because I knew even when I worked out, I wasn't sweating through my whole body because the pores of the skin actually get clogged from plasticides, from all the we've injected that has plastic in it.
Yeah, well, it makes sense.
It's craziness, and the household chemicals and all kinds of things. So
God, I know.
The sweating has been helpful, and the infrared, why that's so important. Infrared, you have infrared on one side of the spectrum, which is it's a long-standing wave that travels slowly, and on the other side of that you have the ultraviolet light. Well, the infrared, what's different about that than, say, a hot box sauna, and I love steam, that's important too for hydration, but different than a hot box is this actually goes and penetrates the muscle and works from the inside out. So actually we are healing the body from the inside out and top to bottom, and in the reverse order of the way the symptoms came in. So that means the symptoms of this and that, or injuries that we've had the longest, are the ones that are the hardest to heal. That's actually a homeopathic law that, like cures like, which means a little bit of what's bad for you is good for you in particle level when you take homeopathy, and you heal from the top down, the inside out, and in the reverse order. So we are doing that because homeopathic and flower essences are energetic medicine. So we've been working on healing the energetic, and now we are bridging the energetic with the physicalization of the re-encryption in the body, which is when we're clearing, we clear at the bone level. The bone has a matrix and its own intelligence. We clear at the connective tissue level, which is fascia. This is why when somebody has joint things, say they have injuries in the knees or, whatever it is, ankle, I've been nursing an Achilles tendon, on and on. This is because the connective tissue is slower to heal in some ways in the way of time because of the certain memories that are stored there. The ancestral re-encryption is actually happening in the blood, is actually happening in the bone, because bone is the foundation, like the stone.
Makes sense.
We have the stone circles and the pyramids, which is the memories are held in the stone, and in our body it's held in the bone. And the blood, which connects to the life force, which is our foundation. This started coming in around the time of All Hallows Eve, interestingly enough, when people celebrate the Day of the Dead. There's a lot of distortions with these things that people celebrate. They don't realize they're actually holding these beings here that you don't want them here. You want to help them move on.
Yeah.
But on another level, was showing about why the fascination with the bones and the thing like that, and the honoring of the ancestors, because we have to honor the ancestors in a way through our body, so that way we release all the patterns. We understand how those got passed down. Like, say somebody was a monk in a Catholic church or something, and how does that affect the person? Well, sometimes you could go back and read that energy signature and feel how it's actually come all the way through into the physicality. Some of us are working on healing that template now, and let me tell you, it is intense. So breathe through it. No, it's not you, even though it is you, because you've agreed to take it on, but it's not the real you. It's maybe the karmic flesh part of you that's inherited it, and sometimes it's on a soul level too, but on the higher levels it really isn't. When you start to know who it is that you are from your future self, then it starts to all make sense, these things that we've taken on as a clearing. And part of it was the fine print. When we came in here, we didn't read the fine print, so now it's about canceling all these contracts that no longer serve, to let go of this fine print thing. And that way it doesn't have to affect us anymore.
Well said. Yes, everybody, replay this and listen to that last part several times until it sinks in heavily. That's really it. And we are bound by those ancestral contracts and memories and alignments, and you know, it's how we're trapped here. It's exactly the pivotal element that unless you can disconnect yourself, you know, from the grid with which they hold you, you know, and so much of that is personal. But if you don't know that it's there to disconnect, you're being held there. I mean, all of these things are they're not overwhelming to address, but they are overwhelming if they've built up and you don't address them, and then you get deeper and deeper and deeper. And energy parasites, you know, you're like a moth to flame. You know, you're like a light bulb, and you got like a million moths just smothering you. You know.
Energy parasites become physical ones, and where do they reside? In our solar plexus, or soul raw, connecting with the sun, which is our soul. We got to clear the gut. You know, the gut has its own mind, and working on clearing that too. Yeah, well, I mean, that's exactly where they hit when they override is they go for your solar plexus, and that's how they completely take over your whole system. And people, you know, if you hear yourself saying, you know, like, wow, that wasn't me. Well, it wasn't. You had one of those energy parasites take over, and they're commandeering, you know, angelic bodies, and they're really not fit for anything more than being gophers, you know, at a really low level of intelligence. So, you know, if you're not, as Missy says, staying on top of your game and being cognizant and in your body, grounded, you know, grounded in your body, and paying attention to the more clear you are of all these other elemental toxins, the more grounded you can become, and the more your frequency can like a radio station become enhanced. And here we go. You know, you're on your way, and it's not that hard to do, but you have to stay on top of it. You know. Exactly. God, I love water. I know. I love swimming in it. I love looking at it. I love hearing it. Is there water Is there water by your house, Missy? We have a pond, and below us there is water. I mean, we don't have a stream here. My husband put a water feature in, and we have fish, and we do have water below us. And we're actually in the Smoky Mountains here, so we have water all around us. The Appalachian Mountains. Absolutely. No, I can feel it. It's a good area to be. Yeah, it sounds wonderful. I get a real sense of it through you, and I get a lot of water around you. Not necessarily whether it's flowing or not. It's just that, you know, it's obvious. Yeah. But so what do you think? I think we're like I don't know exactly what time we started, maybe quarter after. We're like at 2:47, just so you know. Where should we go with this? We were talking about the tools, you know, because I feel the tools are also available now. You know, not only is the architecture here, the tools. So rather than being frustrated with, you know, some things are frustrating. You know, fluoridation in the water is a very frustrating thing. Oh, my gosh. Because when you travel, and traveling makes this hard, but when you're at home, you do what you can do. Yeah. So we want to talk a little bit about the tools, you know, because even if there's spring, there's things we can do, like, and we talked about before, you know, none of this information is used to diagnose or treat anything. No, we're not saying we're doctors, no. Yes. So I would say the greens are highly important. Things like chlorella, things like spirulina, if you like it. It's not my most favorite. Yeah. Blue-green algae, kelp is very good. Yeah, things like that. But Icelandic kelp, because we want to make sure it's not from
No.
Fukushima.
Yeah, I was
like
going to
this.
say,
And
you want to make sure it's not radiated.
and cleaning the skin. Right now I've been doing skin cleaning. You know, I do salt and sugar scrubs. I'll use the Dr. Bronner soap and things like that. But I've also been using vinegar, raw apple cider vinegar, because there's something about the malic acid, because the skin gets loaded with parasites. So it's important to cleanse the skin, to scrub the skin, and to sweat. So working out,
Getting it
you
out
know,
of its
some of us were not feeling that good a couple of years ago, could barely get our ass out of bed. There was those days.
Me too,
But
yep.
it's shifted. It's turned because of what they did. We didn't know about that we had eaten GMO food all those years, right?
I know, no
now
kidding.
We've become clear on what's GMO, what's not GMO, and to be very careful when we eat out, and to notice when we eat out what foods made us feel what way. If our stomach blew up, or we ate something, or this or that, and how it digests, and how our system flip-flops back and forth. Now, with the hydration, I wrote an article and I said I steam distill my water. I'm going to clarify. I steam distill my water and then I add my minerals back in. So I'm making a solution, you know, with Himalayan salt and say, you know, fulvic acid and silica. And I found there's a man named Dr. Kassar who's really working on the physicalization pieces, who has a YouTube channel, earthshiftproducts.com. His stuff is phenomenal. I love his products, because even if we're eating organic, we need to go higher from organic to heirloom and to superfoods, because the fact that even organic food doesn't have the nutrition, because the soil doesn't have anything in it. Now we can start growing our own food, but there's something about the density of the nutrient-rich based food. And when we're doing all this stuff and taking all these supplements, you know, I've also been working with the energetics, like the flower essences, and make my own and things like that too. There's something about this nutrient-rich food, because when we're rebuilding our nervous system, we need this. And we're actually, right now, we're rebuilding the nervous system too, because remember, the nervous system is what holds the blueprint for the template of our physical body and aging and things like that. That's why we when the nervous system turns itself over all the time, why are we rebuilding an aging body instead of a body that's getting younger?
Yeah.
That's because of the nervous system, and that nervous system actually connects into what's called the natal plexus, or the fourth dimensional body, the next body up from us, where there's, you know, kind of a back and forth merge, where there's that blueprint structure, or what do they call it? Etheric double blueprint of that body that steps down into the nervous system. And that's where we kind of been working. I mean, and also with the 12D, however, and the 13 and beyond, but it's also about bringing those 3 and 4 together, where there's been a lot of implants and things, and removing that so we can rebuild the nervous system, which is, we have the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. The sympathetic is when our body goes into fight or flight, which is not an organic response on this planet. It also connects them with the vagus nerve. It's not organic. It's not organic for animals to go kill other animals for food. This has been a thing that was installed here. It's not even organic for us have to consume anything. This is all consumptive modeling, but at least eating something that's more in the likeness, you know, like would be, say, fruit and vegetables, things like that, and the hydration and water and less dense foods, because we have to eat something. But it's not even about those. That goes a lot deeper than that, but it's this thing of fight or flight may have served us, and it's actually even in the land grids as the dark mother principle. It's like when the mother has a response of like maybe a lashing out because the attacks that have been done to her. It's not organic, and yet it's served as a boundary and having to protect the self. Eventually, I feel we won't have to worry so much about protection when our buffer field around us becomes so strong, we'll be like a spinning vortex. We're in the vortex that we won't have to necessarily, you know, worry about whether we take this density on or that, or this attack or that attack. When we're in that vortex, I think we can move those attacks out of the way, although that's not still quite physicalized, because if we start to weeble wobble, you know, it's still getting our core strong. And this is the reason for the yoga, is when we start doing things like these downward dogs, which I'm not so crazy about, my hands don't like it, plank pose, getting these core muscles around the spine so strong and yet resilient, you know, like that wave motion, right? That sine wave, where the body becomes flexible, where the energetic body is strong and resilient. It's both. It's flexible like the bamboo. Okay, something about the bamboo. Bruce Lee talked about the reed and being flexible like the bamboo. And actually, silica comes from bamboo. And using bamboo, you know, forks and knives, and I'm moving into bamboo stuff. So there's something about the whole thing of this resilience, of becoming more resilient, more stronger in the core, which is all part of this process. And I'm probably just, you know, I can go every direction with this.
No, I know.
I can't emphasize it enough.
No, I know. And I think that I hear a lot from people about the energy implants. And I think that, honestly, the best thing that people can do, in my opinion, is to grow their light body to become stronger, because basically right now we are, as you said, we're merging third and fourth density. And fourth density is a place that is completely new. I mean, we might have, you know, slipped in and out of there at times unconsciously through our dream state. But I mean, to actually be in this place as the conscious dimension that we're in is something completely new. And I'm seeing more and more people calling, you know, having paranormal experiences and, you know, what's happening. And, you know, just as we've talked about, people becoming sick, their bodies are degrading. I went through a lot of the structural, like, architecture of my life breakdown, you know, starting back in 2007. But it led to a lot of physical stuff that, because I had a traumatic accident, that for me the last few weeks, same thing. It's like the joints and every, you know, it's just trying to maintain the flow of all of it, you know, the saturation of our cellular body and being able to withstand the new elements of the dimension on top of it. And just everything that you said is extremely powerful information. You know, I think for people to try to worry about all the implants, you know, like, don't focus on that. I don't mean to say don't worry about it, but just don't focus on that as much as focus on self-healing. Focus on everything that you can do to self-heal. And definitely go to the site earthshiftproducts.com. Sounds like there's a lot of good information there. And you know, just do your research, people, and talk to other like-minded people, because everybody's going through the same thing. And I sense, maybe you can tell me what you're sensing, but I have a feeling we're gonna get disclosure here. I mean, I know they've been yanking that chain for an awfully long time, but the information I've been getting in the last 36 hours or so is that that's really sitting upon us. Like, I think that they're in the middle of a blood ritual right now, and so there's time frames that they're trying to meet, and I think that we're gonna see something just absolutely unbelievable from our galactic families, not from them. Something that's going to further show us that we will win, because in the future we already have. The 100th monkey's already taken place. we're just back here on the time curve and trying to catch up with everything else. And I firmly believe that. I firmly believe that.
And I feel disclosure's already happened for the people that are ready. I don't think they're going to land on the White House lawn. I've never thought that.
I don't think that.
No. If they do, it's a false flag event, and I'd
definitely
run the other way. It's some kind of holographic.
No,
whatever.
I don't think it's disclosure from the cabal. I think it's real disclosure. Like, our families are just going to do something so mind blowing that people will. It's just irrefutable. There's no conversation anymore. There's no argument. There's no anything. And that's that switch that's going to flip us. You know what I mean? Because it is 100th
And I feel
monkey.
they already have, except that unfortunately the time travelers still know this. So sometimes something gets tweaked in the timeline, but eventually that's not going to be allowed to happen anymore. When we're in that vortex, like I said, we don't weeble wobble anymore ourselves, because we can have our own weeble wobble. When there's enough of us that are strong enough that are that way, where we're placed on the grid energetically, then I feel that's going to happen. I really do.
Yeah. Well, I think
we're not quite there. I'd like us to be there, but a real accurate assessment would tell me we're not there yet.
Yeah, no, I don't think we're there yet at all. But I do think that we're going to get something extraordinary that's going to really help our numbers increase, you know, like a switch overnight. And go ahead.
And what I was going to say is, when I ask every day for my guidance and wisdom from my higher self, what do I get? Just be in the moment and keep working on myself, my physical body, this physicalization, to become like the superhero. It's almost like we have to become superhuman because the technocracy is wanting to push artificial intelligence.
Oh, yeah.
And we are connected to divine intelligence, and we're not going down the route. That's why I was going to bring up the metals and the mercury, the toxicity of the mercury and all this, because the implants interface with the metal.
Yeah.
And the more metal we have in our body, the more likely they are able to control us through the metal elements that are in our body.
Yeah, well, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, and then that just aligns us with their transhumanism, and we don't want to go there.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, that makes perfect sense. And I mean, I think that people feel that. I mean, I think they can feel it happening in their own body. I mean, nobody's feeling right. Everyone's feeling sick, and things are happening, and they're having to come to the table on some level because they're having to search out what's going on. And I don't think that they can stay ahead of the curve. I think that they've been jumping timelines long enough that I don't know. I just feel like we have to just keep up the perseverance. The Arcturians, just to reinforce what you said, the Arcturians stressed in us, to stay flexible. That was something they've very specific, stay open and flexible. So open, I just don't mean like, oh yeah, open up my chakras, but open to whatever the shifting, current may bring. And within that, stay flexible. So, and be prepared, do your work, understand what's going on, so that, at the very least, we can shift with this, and we can and aid as many people as possible.